and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A happy Tuesday out there. Welcome to Pushing the Limits. Thank you all for being here. Another very, very busy news day. A lot to get to, a lot to go over today. And we appreciate you being here, the PTL family. Of course, we're welcoming everybody on the Really American Network, on their YouTube platform, and, of course, their Facebook page. My personal YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show, the fastest ever-growing show and one of the most interactive shows you will find anywhere. And we certainly appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We're also in the YouTube Super Chat and the website, pushingthelimits.live. Coming up a little bit later on the program, Kenny Hess is going to be joining us. He's the co-executive producer of the Really American Network. And Donald Trump just held a press conference. We're gonna play some audio from that. We have so much audio to play for you because so much has transpired in the last 24 hours. But to be honest with you, I want to get right to it. I don't want to waste any time because the Epstein stuff is not going away. And we're learning that Pam Bondi briefed Donald Trump on what is in these Epstein files. And then right after that, Donald Trump made the decision not to release the files. Geez, I wonder why that is, ladies and gentlemen. So Donald Trump today in Washington, D.C. did a little bit of a media scrum. This literally happened about 30 minutes ago, give or take. And one of the reporters asks Donald Trump, did your name appear in the Epstein files? Listen to the response and listen to how nervous Donald Trump is when he's answering this question. It's unbelievable.
How many more? If we're on Epstein, the Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein.
Okay.
On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
On Texas.
So let me get this right. Let me get this right. Trump is acknowledging he's been briefed on the Epstein files, which you just heard. But on the other hand, he's blaming the documents on Barack Obama and Joe Biden. If that's not an indicator that he is covering something up, I really don't know what is. Yes, I was briefed on it by Pam Bondi. We don't want to release it. Let's blame everything that's in the Epstein files on Biden and Obama. Folks, he's all over the Epstein files. Can we just call it for what it is? And then a reporter says, because Laura Trump said yesterday that there should be transparency in the Epstein case, and a reporter asked him about that, and listen to Trump's response to that.
Mr. President, your daughter-in-law said that there should be transparency in the Epstein case. Do you agree with her, sir?
The Attorney General's handled that very well. She's really done a very good job, and I think that when you look at it, you'll understand that. I would like to see that also, but I think the Attorney General, the credibility is very important, and you want credible evidence for something like that, and I think the Attorney General's handled it very well.
Yeah, everybody really thinks that. There is literally not one person in the MAGA movement, unless you're in the Trump administration, that is saying that Pam Bondi has handled this great. The only person that's really saying that is Donald Trump, because it's all at his directive, because these MAGA idiots are so stupid. They think that it's all Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is doing everything that Donald Trump tells her to do. In this case, he doesn't want her to release the files because he's clearly all over the files. So they're blaming Pam Bondi, and she's taking the fall for this when it's at Donald Trump's directive. That's how stupid these MAGA clowns are. And yeah, she's doing a great job. Well, yeah, because you're telling her what to do, and she's taking the fall for it. That's why. Even the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world are upset about this. People that are the most loyal to Donald Trump are upset about this, but they're blaming Pam Bondi because they're idiots and they don't realize that it's Donald Trump that's literally telling her what to do. Her job is to be loyal to Donald Trump, not to serve as the attorney general for the country, but to serve Donald Trump. That's it. And when are people finally going to understand that? It's a joke. It's a joke. This is the part of this media scrum today where it even got more crazy. Trump doesn't seem to understand the difference between a competency test and an IQ test. And I also find it very interesting that when you talk about somebody's IQ, or in this case, when Donald Trump talks about somebody's IQ, he always seems to go after women of color. Why is it always AOC? Why is it always Jasmine Crockett? Here he goes again, not understanding the difference between a competency test and an IQ test because he's not competent and he has a low IQ. Have a listen to this.
And, AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ. And we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test. Anyway, have a good time.
Yeah, have a good time. The idiot, the orange orangutan adjudicated rapist, doesn't even understand the difference between what a competency test is and an IQ test. And I'm going to repeat this again because I think it's really important. It seems like when Donald Trump talks about somebody's IQ, it's usually a woman of color. Why is that? Is that just a coincidence? Why does he always go after brown women and talk about how low their IQ is? By the way, as far as an IQ test goes, I'll take AOC and Jasmine Crockett over Donald Trump any day of the week, while this idiot is talking about windmills and Hannibal Lecter and doesn't know the difference between a competency test and an IQ test and thinks we can bomb hurricanes. Yeah, I'll take AOC and Jasmine Crockett over Trump any day of the week. The guy couldn't pass a third grade history exam. And then we go back into 90 deals in 90 days, which we knew that was a lie. Here's Donald Trump making the case, the White House lawn today with the EU, that a deal apparently is a letter that is sent out. Again, he is making the case that because a letter was sent out, that somehow is a deal.
No, we are talking to the EU, and we're making progress. But look, we already have a deal with the EU. It's called the letter that was sent out. I think it was 30%. That's the EU. But we, at the same time, we are talking.
Absolutely ridiculous. So again, apparently it's a deal if you write a letter. That's the art of the deal, ladies and gentlemen. If you write a letter to a company, it's a deal. Regardless of whether many of these world leaders are probably ripping up the letter and laughing at Donald Trump and his administration, and quite frankly, laughing at this country, according to Donald Trump, it's a deal if we send a letter out. That's how incompetent and stupid Donald Trump and so many members of his administration are. 90 deals in 90 days. All we have to do is write a letter. So stupid, it's unbelievable. And this comes at a time where the Trump administration is literally celebrating higher prices and billions collected from working Americans from Trump's huge new national sales tax. Caroline Leavitt put out a tweet today literally bragging about this when it's the American consumer that is paying for it, and the June numbers have come out. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Inflation is not down. Inflation is up. That's right. The inflation rate, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, rose to 2.7% on the annual basis, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, if you would like a source. This is an increase from 2.4% that was observed in May. The monthly increase is 0.3%, which is the largest monthly increase in 5 months. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, rose to 2.9% year over year. We have been told by many who are not political that this is a short example of what we have to come, which would be called a recession. This is just the beginning. So when Donald Trump says gas prices are down and food prices are down and inflation is down, that is a blatant lie, and he's going to continue to lie. And as the numbers continue to grow and rise, he will blame Barack Obama and Joe Biden for that as well, I'm sure. So the Democrats held a press conference earlier today, and Ted Lieu was a part of that. Aguilar was a part of it. Hakeem Jeffries was a part of it. And they talked about a number of different topics, obviously hammering the Trump administration, and rightfully so. So Aguilar talked a little bit about the tax breaks to the billionaires while the Epstein files continue to be protected by the Trump administration. And I thought it was very, very well stated. Have a listen to what Aguilar had to say.
And they're doing all of this so they can give billionaires tax breaks and make private jets fully tax deductible. They're the same rich and well-connected elites that they're protecting by keeping the Epstein files under lock and key after campaigning to release them. It's shameful, and House Democrats will make sure that they are held accountable.
Yeah, well, you better. I'm with you, but you better. As Barack Obama said, Democrats have to get tough. These are scary times that we're living in. Where are the Epstein files? And MAGA Republicans, why do you keep talking about it? Why do you keep talking about Epstein? Because you guys have been talking about it for years. What is Donald Trump hiding? Ted Lieu asks that very question and asks, what's Pam Bondi hiding?
Epstein, of Jeffrey Epstein's client list. In fact, she said that Jeffrey Epstein's client list is, quote, sitting on my desk right now. Where is that client list? What is Attorney General Pam Bondi hiding? She needs to release the Epstein files as soon as possible. I talked about the Epstein files under the Biden administration. I'm talking about it under the Trump administration. This is a case of the powerful protecting the powerful. We need to have those files released. I also note that the Epstein files that have already been released show that Trump is all over the files. He's in multiple pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. There's multiple videos of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. There are plane logs of Trump on Epstein's plane. There are statements by Trump about Epstein. There are court pleadings of alleged victims of Epstein naming Trump. So we need to have these Epstein files released.
Well said, Ted Lieu. I agree 150%. Doesn't matter whether there are Democrats or Republicans on there. Needs to be released. Why is the Trump administration protecting pedophiles? Why? Because I believe Donald Trump is a pedophile himself. That's why. I believe he's all over these files. Representative Durbin also asks the same question here and makes a very good point. It's either one of two things, as Durbin pointed out.
Do you now want to see the files released?
Absolutely. Leader Jeffries is right. Either they misled the American people with this conspiracy theory for years, or they're covering it up now. I joined with Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland during the appropriations process last week. We offered an amendment together, and the amendment said that they should preserve the evidence of the Epstein investigation and release it to the American people. It passed by a voice vote. The Republicans didn't want a record vote on the issue. But it really gets to the bottom line. Let's let the American people see the truth.
Yeah, I agree, but they're not going to see the truth because as long as Donald Trump is at the realms with Pam Bondi, who wears the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7, we will not see the truth. What I believe the truth is very, very simple. Donald Trump does not want you to see these files. Just like Donald Trump did not want you to see his tax returns. Donald Trump did not want you to hear from Stormy Daniels. Donald Trump does not want you to hear anything he says behind closed doors. He doesn't want transcripts released of conversations he's had with evil, murderous dictators like Vladimir Putin. He doesn't want any transparency because it doesn't benefit him and it will hurt him. And I guarantee you if these Epstein files are released, it'll hurt Donald Trump because he's all over the files. As I've said before and I'll say again, I said it on the Piers Morgan show. I'll say it again here. Donald Trump was on the Epstein flight log at least 7 times at a minimum. We learned that in the Maxwell trial. We also know that on audio tape, Jeffrey Epstein called Donald Trump at one time his best friend. We had Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, who's been very transparent, which I appreciate, and he's been on this show, who said he hung out multiple times with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and they were very, very close. And it wasn't Donald Trump that said he wanted to stop hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. According to Jeffrey Epstein's brother, it was Jeffrey Epstein that decided he didn't want to hang out with Donald Trump. So for all of you out there that are claiming that Trump just separated himself from Epstein, they had a falling out. Epstein didn't want to hang out with him. The Donald Trump administration, Donald Trump and Pam Bondi have something to hide. And Dan Bongino and Kash Patel know it. They know exactly what's going on here. And I believe many people in Trump's orbit know that Donald Trump is all over these files. They know that Donald Trump was at Epstein Island. And you had these MAGA idiots for years saying, well, the Clintons and all these lefties, all these liberals are going to be on the list. When now everybody is finally learning it's Donald Trump that is in these files. And this is the reason why he doesn't want to release them. And this is the reason he doesn't want to talk about it. And this is the reason why Pam Bondi was put in that place, because I believe Donald Trump knew he was in these files, and he had to find somebody that would wear the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7. And Pam Bondi is exactly that person. Then there comes the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, who has no backbone, and all he seems to care about is attacking transgenders, attacking homosexuality, talking about the Bible, and talking about how he monitors the porn that his son watches, and vice versa. Mike Johnson's a weirdo. He's a spineless coward. And here's Mike Johnson once again, as many of these evangelicals do, because they're all idiots, as they talk about God miraculously saving the president's life, because I guess this week it was the anniversary of the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Remember when Donald Trump got a boo-boo on his ear? Remember when he had a little bit of a bloody ear? I don't know if it was a catch-up packet or not, but let's just assume it was real for a moment, maybe a glass fragment, whatever. And do you remember when these bozos at the Republican National Convention were wearing tampons on their ears, looking like the cultist idiots that they are? Because that's what they are. They're all a bunch of cultist idiots. And Donald Trump the next day decided to play golf with no bandage on his ear. Somehow his ear magically grew back. And then he wears this tampon bandage on his ear at the Republican National Convention because he wants to look like some martyr or hero. And these cultist sicko fans are wearing these tampons on their ears, or whatever the hell you'd want to call it, looking like the idiots that they are. All a bunch of bozos, all a bunch of clowns. And now you have Mike Johnson talking about God, because that should be used in the same sentence with the orange orangutan adjudicated rapist. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, talking about God, how God miraculously saved the president's life. But apparently he didn't save the life of a firefighter that was in the crowd. God didn't care about the firefighter, regardless of his political beliefs, was a hero because he was a firefighter who saved lives. But God said, no, I don't want to save the hero firefighter. I want to save the adjudicated rapist 34-count felon. That's how much of a moron these right-wing evangelical idiots are that think God saved Donald Trump. Here's what Mike Johnson had to say about that.
First of all, we wouldn't know how much to commit because there's a process that this goes through. The White House.
I apologize. That's the wrong cut. That's my fault. I'm going to play the next cut, which is Mike Johnson talking about how God miraculously somehow saved his life a year ago in that first assassination attempt.
Social media platforms removed his ability to communicate with his supporters. Armed FBI agents raided his home. Democrat judges and prosecutors bent the law to arrest him, and multiple assassins tried to kill him. But God miraculously spared the president's life. I think it's undeniable, and he did it for an obvious purpose. And his presidency and his life are the fruits of divine providence, and he points that out obviously now all the time, and he's right to do so. As President Trump has lived since, with the acknowledgement every day since, he has acknowledged that each new day isn't guaranteed to us. It isn't to any of us, and that's why we're not wasting any time. It's why he remains so strong and resilient. It's why we have such a sense of urgency. President Trump took a bullet to his head. He got up shortly thereafter. He pleaded with the crowd to fight, and then he went on to win a historic election less than 4 months later. America's changed because he survived that day.
Absolutely ridiculous. What a sicko cult these Trump people are. If there is a God out there, which I certainly hope there is, I'm pretty sure God wouldn't want to cover up sexual abuse of children, which is exactly what the Donald Trump administration is doing. If there is a God out there, I'm sure his first priority wouldn't be saving the life of a 34-count convicted felon rapist, a man who's cheated on every single woman he's ever been with, who holds a Bible upside down and claims it's his favorite book and can't name one passage in the Bible. I'm pretty sure if there is a God out there, this is not the person that God would try to save. But if you're a right-wing evangelical cultist sicko fan of Donald Trump, this is the way you think. No mention of the firefighter who lost his life, though. Don't want to talk about that. And then Mike Johnson decided to talk about NPR and PBS. He started to talk about misuse of taxpayer dollars. Because when you talk about misuse of taxpayer dollars, the average normal person, the first thing they'll think about, right, is NPR and PBS. But there's a kicker to this. And before I play this audio from this idiot, Mike Johnson, I want to remind all of you that it was actually the GOP that controlled Congress that allocated the tax dollars in the first place for NPR and PBS. So he's literally criticizing his own people. And this is Mike Johnson going after NPR and PBS yesterday.
The NPR and PBS components this is, in our view, the misuse of taxpayer dollars. They're biased reporting. They're not objective. They pretend to be so. They have for a long time. And the people don't need to fund that. I mean, we're in an age of, you all know, you work in the industry. I mean, media is so multifaceted now. There's so many avenues and areas for information. And while at its origination, NPR and PBS might have made some sense, and maybe it does now, but it shouldn't be subsidized by taxpayers. So these are simple questions to answer for us. The House has acted appropriately, and I hope the Senate will do the same. I've urged them, as I always do, to please keep the product unamended because we have a narrow margin and we got to pass it. But we're going to process whatever they send us whenever they send us, and I'm hopeful that it'll be soon.
Absolutely ridiculous. Let's not talk about the 15 million people that are going to lose Medicaid. Let's not talk about the $10 billion that they're taking away from food benefits, people that desperately need food put on the table. Let's talk about saving money by defunding NPR and PBS. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's insane. And I want you to listen to what Representative Pete Sessions had to say. Keep in mind that the GOP-controlled Congress are the ones that allocated these tax dollars in the first place. So they're really attacking their own. And listen to what Pete Sessions had to say about PBS and NPR. It's sickening.
Congressman, obviously, Senate and House Republicans love to go home to their districts, campaign on fiscal responsibility, fiscal cuts, cut spending. Congress has not approved a rescission package, which this technically is, in 25 years. Do you think this is the one that gets through? Because if not, I don't know how Republicans can go home and say they are about less spending.
Well, as a matter of fact, and thank you for that analysis. In fact, I don't know if we're going to go home and just tout these so much as that we view that this is an instrument where government was funding those who provide content against the American dream. And so we really are a part of trying to do overall moving back this government within its own waistline, within an opportunity to know what's correct spending. I'm not going to use the word constitutional, but really the limits that the American people produce and provide. And so, yes, I assume we will go home and tout this, but we first have to get it done, as you suggest. And the first time is probably makes it harder, but the first time is also an indication of our desire to move it forward. We have, with the president, President Trump, a person who actively leads. He does not lead from the rear. He leads from the front. Very, very proud of the president for listening to us. That drumbeat that we've had for years, the call is being answered by the chief executive of the United States of America.
So let me get this right, Pete Sessions. PBS and NPR, according to you, are providing content against the American dream. By the way, I completely disagree with that. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But yet the network that lied about the 2020 election, that said Dominion voting machines cheated and had to pay out almost $900 million in a lawsuit, they're totally fine. Don't defund Fox Noise or OAN or Newsmax, which, by the way, are all entities, in my opinion, that are very dangerous to this country because they spread propaganda, fake information, and lies 24/7. But let's go after PBS and NPR. Let's go after Sesame Street, because Sesame Street provides content against the American dream. I mean, these are some of the dumbest people that America has to offer, and sadly, some of them are elected officials, and it's a joke. Representative Greg Murphy yesterday, by the way, made an admission on national television. He admitted, as a Republican, that tariffs are hurting small businesses in his district, but says this is parenting in a way because he says they have to take some really tough medicine. This is the way they're describing people losing their businesses and the American consumers having to pay more. And he's saying, take your medicine. It's insane. And he's saying this on national television. Listen to this.
Talking a lot about the consumer and all of this, and that's critical, but you and I have spoken before about businesses and different sectors that have been impacted by the threat of tariffs, having to reset essentially how they do business. What are you hearing from those in your district about how they're dealing with all of this, small and mid-sized businesses?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's not been hard for some, because I've met with several. I've gone in their shops, sat down with their, with their clerks or with their owners in small businesses and sat with them and talked with them. I'm not going to say it's been easy. The sad thing is, or the challenging thing is, you have to look at it macroeconomically. You have to look at where we are hurdling with our debt, and with our trade deficit. We have to do something. We have gotten drunk essentially on low, cheap price goods from foreign countries, many of whom have been taking advantage of our lenient import and export policies that we've done in the past. We have to do this. This is parenting in a way that we have to take some really tough medicine to make sure that we have economic viability as we move forward as a nation.
Listen to what this idiot just said. Are you kidding me? Take your medicine? When 15 million people lose their Medicaid, is that what the excuse is going to be for MAGA Republicans? Take your medicine? Are you kidding me? We'll get to more of this a little later, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, as I mentioned yesterday on the program, really excited to be partnering with the Really American Network. And the co-executive producer of that network, Kenny Hess, is going to be joining us next. Can't wait to talk to him. And certainly we have more audio to play for you when we come back. The ICE deputy director is basically condoning ICE agents not identifying themselves and somehow kidnapping people on the streets. We'll have that audio to play for you when we come back. We'll also take some calls, as we always do in hour number 2. Kenny Hess is going to be joining us next, the co-executive producer of the Really American Network. We will be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue... Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We got some very special guests that are going to be coming on the remainder of the week. I believe the Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, is going to join us again towards the end of the week. David Pakman's going to be joining us. I'm going to have a Duke It Out debate with David Pollack tomorrow, right-wing podcaster. So we have a lot of fun guests lined up. And I believe actor extraordinaire from the movie Mallrats. And I know that Justin is a fan of this guy. Jeremy London is going to be joining us on the program as well. He's a fan of the show. I love him from Mallrats. I mean, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Jeremy's a great guy, and he's certainly on our side politically. So he's going to be joining us later on in the week as well. So I mentioned some exciting news yesterday. This show is ever evolving. You know, I started my YouTube page and I started active on there maybe a year ago or so. And we got just short of 125,000 subscribers. Having a lot of fun doing some national shows, including Pierce Morgan. I go on there once every few weeks and have a lot of fun. And we're very lucky. We have some great guests that do this show on a regular basis. And I'm certainly honored to be a part of the Really American Network. They have around 600,000 subscribers on YouTube, 1 million people following them on Facebook. And the guy joining us right now, his name is Kenny Hess. He's the co-executive producer of the Really American Network. Kenny, I do appreciate you coming on, my friend. It's good to meet you. How are you?
Likewise, I'm doing well and back at you, man. I really appreciate not only you joining the network, but you having me on. I was just listening. It's a hell of a cast of characters you got coming up. I'm honored to be a part of it.
Well, thanks, Kenny. I appreciate that. I'm certainly honored to be a part of your network, and you guys do such a great job. I've been following you guys for a very long time. Can you explain to people when this network started and how you were able to gather the following, the huge following that you have now, Kenny?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention, as you have previously, Justin Horwitz. The whole thing started really with him just making memes on Facebook back in the day. And that transformed into Really American, which started as, a super PAC back in the day, then became a massive Facebook page, massive Twitter presence. And really, I know you just mentioned you'd only been doing your YouTube page for about a year. I joined on with Really American a little more than a year ago myself. And back then, I think we're just under 100,000 subscribers. And really all it was our other host, Chip Franklin, absolute great guy. He was just making short form content, doing political satire and stuff. He's an excellent comedian, great writer, really stand-up guy. And I came on as the second host. And from there, we just started making videos. I'd always been a fan of, political satire, always had my head in the news, always very left-leaning. My idols were like Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert. And so Justin was kind enough to let me do my shtick and have fun with it. And from there, we just kind of figured out the social media algorithms, took a lot of inspiration from our friends at Midas Touch, and just tried to make a great show. And, especially leading up to the election, really tried to swing things the other way. Only we could have succeeded. But yeah, that's really where it was born out of. And we're just so excited to have you on and to really build this thing from here and just keep going.
Yeah, really excited as well. And you mentioned Midas Touch. I just did the Pierce Morgan show with Adam Mockler. Adam's done this show before. He's great. And Ron Filipowski does the show every week. Ron was on yesterday, and those guys are great. You're great. We need more people like you guys. And I'm so glad to be a part of what you guys are doing. Kenny, what do you make of the times where every single day it's something else to talk about, right? Again, with the Epstein stuff, and again with Donald Trump deflecting. Here's the part I really don't get. You could tell me whether you agree with me or not here. It seems like there are a lot of MAGA Republicans out there that want to blame Pam Bondi, but I say to myself, it's all at Donald Trump's directive. Yeah. She's going to do everything Donald Trump tells her to do. Why do they not understand that?
That's a question I find myself asking almost every day, and I have yet to get an answer to it. I have my theories, and I think some are strong, have stronger support some days than other, whether it's a lack of empathy, a lack of, getting outside the propaganda of Fox News. I think there's also just this odd identity crisis that we've seen going on since like 2015, since Trump entered the race, where, if MAGA has to combat their ideas about Donald Trump, then it means combating some sort of self-identity that they're not ready or willing or have the emotional capacity to do. And I remember thinking this back in 2015, 2016. I mean, I graduated college then, and I was like really getting into the political side of things. And I was just like, not only appalled, but just really shocked at the fact that it felt like we weren't living in base reality. Like there's a completely different reality that the MAGA sphere operates in that they continue to construct and contort simultaneously to fit this like narrative that they have that Donald Trump is somehow a God king and can do no wrong, and definitely didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, despite very, very clear footage and tapes and the like. It's frankly mind-boggling. And really, I've said this many times, but the only way that I find myself being able to get through it, as I'm sure you can relate to, is just by talking about it and poking fun at it, because I think humor is really the only way to cut through the BS and to be able to process what the hell is going on.
the hypocrisy, right, Kenny, is unbelievable. They call Democrats and liberals, they throw the term around pedophile all the time.
Yep.
Yet it appears as though the Trump administration, whether Trump is in there or not, which I think he is in the files, but they're the ones that are protecting the pedophiles. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And then the argument I'm hear from some of these MAGA supporters are, well, Joe Biden had the files. Yeah, but Joe Biden wasn't best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and he wasn't on the flight log 7 times. What do you make of somebody like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's obviously upset that the Epstein files aren't out, but also says, I didn't vote for all these weapons to be sent to Ukraine? Well, what did you expect? Did you think Donald Trump was going to tell you the truth?
Well, I don't think she expected jack shit, if I may be frank. My personal opinion is she can go kick rocks.
Right.
But I, it's the same thing as when she said she didn't read the bill, and now she's pissed off about what's in the bill.
Right.
It's like you can't say America first or make America great again, or say that you do what your constituents want you to do, when all you're doing is towing party lines, making drama for drama's sake, and then just BSing your entire constituency and the world and throwing out crazy conspiracy theories like the Jewish space lasers, or Democrats control the weather, or you can name any number of things. And the pedophile thing as well, it baffles my mind, because, for the party that is so pro-life or whatever, and the party that like wants to root out all these PDF files or whatever, it's not even just Trump. And sure, there's things on both sides. Like, it's not like the separation of party line is like, oh, you're a good or bad person, but overwhelmingly, it's a lot of MAGA, it's a lot of Republicans, it's a lot of Christians that are the ones that really get caught doing these heinous things, like child stuff. And when you've lost your soul that much as I think Marjorie Taylor Greene has, not that I know that she really had any to begin with, or brains for that matter, which I think both of those things kind of coincide in the MAGA party and make what it is. But when that's where you're coming from, you really don't have any ground to stand on, like I said, unless you just take the ground out from everyone's feet. And I think that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's like, hey, we're going to run on releasing the Epstein files, but also now the Epstein files aren't real. But then 2 days later, the Democrats wrote the Epstein files.
Right. Now it's Obama and Joe Biden. That was the excuse that Donald Trump said earlier today. Oh, yeah. Well, Pam Bondi gave us, kind of a briefing. It was very brief, but it's all Obama and Joe Biden. I mean, that's Donald Trump's excuse for everything. Inflation, the numbers came out today. That's something else, Kenny, I wanted to ask you about.
Sure.
So Caroline Leavitt goes on social media today bragging about all this money they're making, the billions of dollars they're making from these tariffs. First of all, inflation is up. The June numbers just came out. And second of all, they're making the money from the American consumer.
Exactly.
They're bragging about charging more money to some of these Americans, many of whom I would imagine voted for Donald Trump. You can't make this up.
Yeah. It's insane. It's just people are so willing to shoot themselves in the foot with a smile on their face because they're a part of a cult. And even when he announced the tariffs on Russia, or purportedly plans to announce the tariffs on Russia, giving them 50 days to keep invading Ukraine with no repercussion whatsoever. Second of all, those tariffs, you don't tariff a country that's committing war crimes. You put sanctions on them. And granted, we have a lot of sanctions on Russia already, but if you're putting tariffs on Russia, the only people paying those tariffs, to your earlier point, are Americans and Europeans.
Right.
The same people who are getting screwed by Putin. So sure, make as much money as you want off of tariffs, but you're making it off the back of hardworking people, even the people who unfortunately supported you. And then you're going to claim that that's not leading to inflation. Or the best part is the Republicans are cheering the inflation numbers. And they're like, oh, this is the best economy ever, despite all of the logical, statistical data that does not support it. But it doesn't matter to them because, frankly, nothing matters to them except their own success and, Donald Trump being the man.
You're right. If you're just joining us, by the way, he is Kenny Hess with the Really American Network that I am so proud to be a part of. Really excited about that. Kenny, let's talk a little bit about Ukraine, the war, and Vladimir Putin. So in the last 5 months or so, has Donald Trump not realized that Putin is full of it and he's an evil, murderous dictator, and he wants to give Putin another 50 days? And I'm thinking to myself, is this the great negotiator? Like, he didn't know who Vladimir Putin was, and he wants to give him another chance and another 50 days. Literally every single time Trump says Putin wants peace, there's another airstrike where women and children are murdered in Ukraine. You remember when Zelensky was in the White House and that despicable the way that they treated him.
Even say thank you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he calls Zelensky a dictator. I'm sure you remember that. And at one time he blamed Ukraine for the start of the war. And now all of a sudden he's saying, well, I tell my wife, contractual wife, Melania, every time I talk to Vladimir Putin, it's a nice conversation. And then there's an airstrike. Did he just realize just now that Putin's a bad guy, Kenny?
Obviously not, but I think that it really just boils down to, a lot of people talk about how he's a toddler, and we make jokes about that all the time. And I do think that there is just deeply inside of him, there is a small little boy that never got enough love or attention. And I don't know, maybe his father was abusive. Maybe that's why he has this admiration for power, but he idolizes power and people in power and people who are strong. I don't even think it's as deep, because I don't think Donald Trump is this deep. I don't think he's like, I want to be a fascist dictator, even though like the people around him are really pushing him towards that and allowing him to get to that point. But I do think he just has this fascination with authoritarians because they're powerful, and he wants to feel like them and be like them. And that is why he thinks he has this golden tongue that will, persuade Vladimir Putin to end the war in 24 hours, which we obviously did not see. But also he wants to be liked by these other people that he sees as respectful figures, regardless of whether they're war criminals, regardless of whether they're authoritarians, whether they're dictators. He has this, it's almost, I think it's why him and Elon Musk got along so well, is because they need to be liked by people. And to your point about, or your question rather, about, did he just find out he's a bad guy, and how does this all transpire so disastrously? I mean, you're talking about the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal while having 6 bankruptcies, bankrupting a casino in New Jersey, my home state, in Atlantic City, and defrauding the United States government out of taxes. And then he says, I've never been bankrupt in my life. I'm so rich. Like,
yeah, I spent some time in Atlantic City myself. I'm an East Coaster too. I'm from Connecticut. I think you're talking about the Taj Mahal.
Yes.
And it is really hard to bankrupt a casino. Very difficult.
The house always wins, the same for the reason.
Yeah, very difficult. And by the way, they wouldn't give him a gaming license here in Las Vegas. He's got the Trump Tower. He wanted that to be a casino. They wouldn't let him do it. And with the money he allegedly has, that certainly is saying something for sure. So a lot of people are saying, Kenny, that are not political, that are economists, and we have a lot of brilliant economists that come on this show, that we're headed towards a recession. The war in Ukraine you could make the argument, is worse off now than it was on day one when Trump took office. He said the war would be over within 24 hours. We're in a war with Iran, whether people want to admit it or not, because of his weird allegiance to Benjamin Netanyahu and believing Israeli intelligence over our own. Inflation is up. Gas prices are not down. Food prices are not down. People are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. They're taking away food stamps from people. I think in the big, beautiful bill, correct me if I'm wrong, $10 billion they're cutting from food stamps. And somewhere around the line of 15 million people are going to lose their medical coverage. Yet when I have MAGA Republicans that call into this show from time to time, they always want to say, well, I love what he's doing when it comes to immigration, without even understanding that he's not going by what it says in our Constitution. Any person has the right to due process. But they seem to be okay with that, and they want to blame migrants for all their problems.
Yeah. I mean, well, listen, I live in Los Angeles, and I have seen, fortunately not in person, I did go to some No Kings protests, but I see day in and day out from people I know, specifically in immigrant communities, like just the fear and the absolute, like, sheer terror that people have going to, places like their church, places like work, or just going out, because you have masked, for lack of better terminology, Gestapo agents, people who we can't even really verify whether or not they are immigration enforcement agents. And even if they were, they don't have warrants most of the time. And they're just snatching people up off the street and disappearing them. And that in and of itself, like the fact that MAGA people can call in to your show, Brian, and say this like vocally with their chest online, on forums, on Twitter, that they support that, or that makes them happy, that is just grounds for like, I don't care about your opinion after that. Frankly, I have my own opinion about whether I think those kinds of people should even be able to vote. But that's not something that I have the authority or,
Kenny, it's funny you say that, because I had Vivek Ramaswamy on the show probably about a year ago. And it's the one thing, I think he's a slime ball, but it's the one thing that I agreed with him on when he said you should have to pass some sort of test in order to vote. Now, that would mean, well, Donald Trump can't vote anyway because he's a felon, right? But that's beside the point. I don't think Donald Trump could pass that test. But I do agree with Ramaswamy. I think there should be some sort of test that you should have to pass in order to vote. But if that was the case, Trump, we know he would have lost millions of votes because of that, right?
100%. And it's funny because to the exact like heart of the conversation that we're having, like that is coming from Vivek Ramaswamy, and I kind of agree as well. But it's like that is a type of voter restriction. But if you were to present that in a way to MAGA, that like, hey, well, maybe you should have to pass like, don't you think maybe you should have to pass a history test or pass a cognitive intelligence test? Like, they could take that and maybe warp it and make it work for them. But if someone on the left proposes that, then it's communist buzzword, socialism, whatever, the words that they don't even know the meaning to. But because it's, because it affects them negatively, then it's like, oh, well, now I don't want to do that. So the insane logic that you have to, I don't even want to say have, but like warp in your brain to be MAGA and to root for these things while they're actively being taken away, like food stamps, or root for government transparency when Elon Musk has the access to your social security number and the Jeffrey Epstein files have vanished from the face of the earth. I wonder all the time, like, what is the thing? What is the thing that's going to topple the domino that leads to like the aha moment in their brains? And I don't know what it is. If it's not Epstein, I have very little faith in anything at this point, but it bewilders me every day.
It does for me as well. I don't know how veterans could support this guy after the way he's treated veterans and the things he says when it comes to women. I mean, listen, I can go on and on and on, but I guess the last question I wanted to ask you, Kenny, is, we're both in the same industry. We talk about a lot of the same important topics. But I always tell people, we can't normalize this. We can't just throw our arms in the air. And I know you guys aren't doing that and say, hey, there's nothing we can do. We're just going to have to deal with this for the next 3.5 years. We have to call it out every day. We have to call out their BS every single day. The midterms are right around the corner. Can't look to the past, right? Got to look to the future. Democrats have to have a strong midterms. We got to make sure that a MAGA moron like a J.D. Vance or anybody else does not win in 2028. Got to be a good midterms. You got to focus on the future and get people out there to vote and continue to try to explain to people how dangerous this man is. I understand there's a cult of people. Donald Trump, I've said this, and I believe Donald Trump could molest a child on video. And there's a percentage of those Trump supporters that would still support. Right. They're gone. We can't talk to those people. But there are a lot of people that sat out the elections in November, Kenny, as you know. Got to continue to do what we do and hope that they get out there and vote, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what we've been trying to do with Really American. And that's my only advice to people who feel downtrodden, disheartened. It's why I try to approach things with humor. And I think that's why Donald Trump is going after people like Rosie O'Donnell, a comedian trying to denaturalize her citizenship over talking shit about him. It's why he's going after PBS and Elmo and all these other things, because fascism attacks comics first and then education. They're dismantling the education department. So my biggest like do this advice is like support independent media, be sure to call it out every day, be vocal. Every little interaction matters. And I see it in our comments all the time. People with the Epstein and stuff are like, we need to say this every day. This should be a rallying cry every day. Do not let this die, because that is what the game plan is for the regime, is to just flood the news cycle. Steve Bannon said it, make you distracted with this, make you distracted with that. And it's good to touch on all of those things as we do. But I think the more we can call it out, the more we can make fun of these people while still, driving home the point of how absolutely heinous and inhumane these things are, then I think we will start to affect people. And I think Donald Trump is doing some of that work for us. So we need to take advantage of that and make people recognize who the real devil in the situation is.
Yeah, very well said, Kenny. And I want to say again, you know, I love what you guys do. You and Justin, you guys over there do such a wonderful job. And it's really an honor that, you know, we've teamed up and I'm going to be a part of what you guys do at the Really American Network. And I guess, you know, my show is going to be for people that, and I made the announcement yesterday, but my show is going to be broadcasted live. And it is right now on your YouTube page, on your Facebook page, and you guys are going to be editing my content up there. And you guys have such a massive following. So, and there's a reason for that, because you guys do such a great job. So I'm very appreciative. And I wanted to say thank you to you guys to be a part of what you guys do and your family. And I really am excited to be teaming up with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. The feeling is very mutual, Brian. So thank you so much, man.
Means a lot, Kenny. I appreciate it, my friend. We're going to have you guys on again soon, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. You as well. And I can't wait to be back.
Thanks, Kenny. There you go. That's Kenny Hess, everybody. Great at what he does. I love the show that they've been doing, and I've been following their content for a very long time. Almost 600,000 subs, I believe they have on YouTube, like 1 million on Facebook. They're really good at what they do. Kenny's awesome. And I'm just so proud to be part of this. And by the way, it doesn't stop here. There's other stuff that is in the works for the Pushing the Limits radio show. But I told you guys 6 months ago, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, I said, we have some things in the works where the show is going to be syndicated and put out to a huge audience on different platforms. And this was one of those platforms that I am so happy to be a part of, and working with the Really American Network. So I'm really proud of that, and where this show has gone, where it started from and where it is now. And there's more on the horizon. But I'm so happy to be a part of what they do over there. And if you're not subscribed to the Really American Network, I highly recommend you do that. Very, very good content. Really good at what they do. So I'm very appreciative to that. So here's what we are going to do. I do want to take some phone calls on the other side of the break. Number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program is 702-221-7283. When we come back, I'm going to play you what the ICE Deputy Director, Madison Sheehan, had to say on national television yesterday. It's going to make you sick. It's unbelievable, because I do want to get into this immigration stuff as well. There's so many other topics, obviously, that we are talking about today. Donald Trump, again, getting defensive when it comes to the Epstein files, praising Pam Bondi. He might be the only MAGA Republican at this point that would be praising Pam Bondi. Even Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have been upset over what's gone on with the Pam Bondi stuff. But Donald Trump still sticking by Pam Bondi. Why? Because everything Pam Bondi has done has been under Donald Trump's directive. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. We're going to have a little bit more audio to play for you in regards to what the ICE Deputy Director had to say, which is just an abomination. And then we'll take your phone calls at 702-221-7283. Your phone calls next. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here.
Offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have an all-out, duke-it-out debate with right-wing podcaster David Pollack tomorrow. You're certainly not going to want to miss that. This portion of the show brought to you by the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, which is Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Man, they got some great promotions this month, including Wednesdays and Saturdays. If you earn 500 points on a slot machine, you get a free scratch-off ticket. Now, what do these scratch-off tickets do? They give you free slot play. You could win up to $50. So check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Great food, great atmosphere. The official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. As I see people in the chat have been frequenting Jackson's Bar and Grill, which is very cool. And, yes, they do have some great food over there. All right, so obviously there's a lot of different topics to discuss. We've talked about the Epstein files. We had Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, on the show yesterday. He's a friend of the show. He's done the show multiple times. He believes Donald Trump knows exactly how his brother some people would use the term murdered. It was labeled a suicide. I'm not buying that for 1 second. So obviously we're talking about that and the fact that inflation rose to 2.7% in June. But still something that's on a lot of people's minds is what's been going on with these ICE agents rounding people up in religious sanctuaries, in some cases not identifying themselves, people not getting due process. I mean, some people are calling it kidnapping, and I can understand why some people are characterizing it that way. So ICE Deputy Director Madison Sheehan made some statements on national television yesterday that are just mind-boggling, and it's insanity. So have a listen to what the ICE Deputy Director had to say. So we're waiting for the audio, and what we are setting up for you is ICE Deputy Director Madison Sheehan. Here's what she had to say.
It's a standard law enforcement work, and that's what our officers are doing. They have some of the best training in the country for any law enforcement officers. We work side by side in most states, not the state of California, but with local law enforcement. And we'll continue to do that to be able to build these cases. I think we all know that criminals tend to hang out with criminals. And so when we start to build a case, we're going to be going after everyone that's around them, because these criminals tend to hang out with like-minded people who also happen to be criminals.
Absolutely and positively ridiculous. First of all, isn't it interesting, ladies and gentlemen, how hundreds of thousands of state and local cops arrest criminals without locking up the entire neighborhood around them? But these ICE squads, maybe they need a little bit more training, because from my perspective, they claim, at least Tom Homan did claim, their number one priority was going after the violent criminals. So if they arrest one violent criminal or deport one violent criminal, but then they round up 100 nonviolent criminals, are you okay with that? I repeat this again. This is not the country that I recognize. When we see nonviolent criminals being taken off the streets, it could be in the morning in front of a Home Depot, could be in a religious sanctuary, could be right outside a courtroom. And in some of these instances, as we know, based on just the video alone, that some of these people are not identifying themselves as ICE agents, so they could be anybody. And they're being separated from their families. Some of these people that have lived in this country for decades, that pay taxes, that have never been convicted of a violent crime in their life. And it's sickening to me. Where is our compassion? This country was founded on immigrants. But if you're born in this country, you're privileged. I'm one of them. I happen to be lucky enough to be born in the United States of America. So because we were born in the United States of America, that means we can treat these people that weren't born in this country like they're some sort of animal, or Donald Trump will make them out to be murderers and rapists. These Mexicans, they're bad people, they're rapists, they're murderers, and I suppose some of them are good people. No, Mr. Orange Orangutan adjudicated rapist, no. per capita, you have the better chance being the victim of a crime from an American citizen than you do an undocumented immigrant. So that is not factually accurate. And the overwhelming majority of these people are good, hardworking people that want a better life for themselves and their families. This is nonsense. This is not the country that I want to live in. And we are dealing with ICE agents all across the country, in some instances not identifying themselves, rounding all these people up. Many of these people are good people. There should be an easier pathway to citizenship. It shouldn't take 10 to 15 years for people to be naturalized citizens. But which party is the party that makes it more difficult for people to become naturalized citizens? I'll give you a hint. It's not the Democrats. Number to call, 702-221-7283. We're also, of course, talking about the Epstein files and Donald Trump responding again today, admitting that he had a sit-down briefing with Pam Bondi, what was in the Epstein files. He said it was very short, and he blamed Joe Biden and Barack Obama for what's in the files, which obviously leads me and anybody else with an IQ over 20 to believe he's hiding something. What is he hiding? Well, it's either one of two things or both. Either Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files, or many of his friends, high prominent people, are in the Epstein files, or both. I tend to think it's both. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the program. Again, that number is 702-221-SAVE. Let's start off with Brian. Brian is first up on PTL. What's up, Brian?
Hello, Brian. This is your buddy from Texas, man. I call every now and again. I got to tell you, man, you a whole lot better than me. I'll tell you straight up, you are a better man than me. You do all the work, the legwork, the investigation, watching Fox Noise and OAN and all these right-wing idiots. You keep up with all that? Because I sure as hell don't.
I don't blame you.
The echo chamber, I don't listen to them, but I appreciate you because you are a much better man than me. I'm going to tell you what. You care, genuinely care about most.
Did we lose him on the cell? Are you still there, Brian? Brian, we lost you for a second. Go right ahead.
Okay, you care so much about most people. I don't, and the reason why is because, just pivoting a little bit, it's still kind of similar to what you got going on. I don't know if you were aware of the woman in Kerrville I told you about last week, where it was at.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman down there where the flood zone is, and she's a right-wing MAGA idiot, inbrain buffoon. Got the TFS bad. The TFS is strong with her. And she made a whole lot of videos about making fun of people on Medicaid, making fun of people on Social Security, people in housing, stuff being taken back and cut and this and that and everything else. And now she's on YouTube and social media and everything else begging. It's you probably seen her. It's the woman that was like, oh my God, we're human.
Listen, there's a
we
reason.
Exist. We're like the redheaded stepchild.
They're doing this because they want clicks. They want to be able to make money. They obviously have no compassion. But I'm going to tell you something. I put her in the same category as a Candace Owens, as a Larry Elder. I put her in the same category as like a Dan Bongino type or a Jack Posobiec type. These are people that have no compassion. All they care about is clicks and making money. These are despicable people. They only care about themselves and their bottom line, and they don't care how many people they take down. That's the problem with so many of these people on the far right, whether they be media personalities or just people on social media like the Laura Loomers of the world. They don't care about other people. They only care about themselves. And that's what it comes down to, my friend. And it's good to hear from you, Brian, and I really do appreciate your phone call. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Again, that number is 702-221-SAVE. We're talking about a number of different topics today. Donald Trump responding again to the Epstein files, admitting that he had a briefing, as he points out, with Pam Bondi, and then said, as far as the contents in there, just said, well, it's Barack Obama and Joe Biden that put all that stuff in there, which leads me to believe, of course, that he's trying to hide something. We're obviously talking about that. And again, ICE continuing to not identifying themselves and rounding up, and I would say kidnapping people in this country, so many of them that are nonviolent criminals. It's sickening, and it is disgusting. And I personally believe Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hey, Mark, what's going on?
Hey, thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. I only have three things. First one is, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Trump state on national TV that he wished Maxie, whatever her name is, Maxwell, good luck, and then a reporter stated she was convicted and is in prison for child trafficking, and Trump stated, "Well, I don't know about that. I wish everybody good luck."
That is
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right, and it's
Okay.
it's interesting because he'll talk trash about AOC and women of color and Joe Biden and Barack Obama, but he seems to be very nice to someone like Maxwell, who we know was a child predator, who was convicted, who was in jail. I find that very interesting.
And the second thing is, what a coincidence that we keep repeating this, and MAGA seems to not want to hear it, that he didn't know who Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Didn't know who she is, but he used Epstein's plane to fly around during the campaign.
Well, that's nonsense. He also, listen, it's just like when he was asked about David Duke, when David Duke was running for office, when Donald Trump was running for office, he said he didn't know who David Duke was either. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. The last thing, did you happen to see Jim Himes over the weekend give a report on, I think it was MSNBC?
I don't believe I did, no.
Well, it exposed what the Democrats are still doing. He stated basically, we need to get back to decorum, and we need to follow the rules. So the reporter on MSNBC stated, well, it's almost impossible when you're dealing with MAGA Republicans in Congress.
Right.
Well, we're going to follow the rules because we're above them, and we will not go down to their level.
Yeah.
See, this is going to be the problem. The Democrats, I don't think there's going to be midterms, but if they get into power, they are going to fail again and do nothing because they're going to follow the rules, they're going to follow decorum, and MAGA Republicans are going to do what they've been doing, delaying, yelling and screaming and making the whole thing a circus.
Well, I certainly hope that's not the case, Mark, and I hope
they're not getting it.
I hope Democrats have learned their lesson. I hope that's not the case, Mark. It's why all I can continue to do is continue to call out the damage that Donald Trump and his administration are doing to this country on a daily basis. If there are buffoons out there that just don't seem to be able to grasp what is going on, that they're lost, and there's nothing that I can do for them. 702-221-SAVE. That number again is 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ken. Ken is next on PTL. Hi, Ken.
Oh, Brian, how are you?
Hey, good.
Just a couple quickies. If we made SNAP for all, would the idiots be still against it so much? I mean, what's wrong with feeding people?
Well, nothing. Obviously, I'm on your side, but let's go back in history, Ken, for a moment. This isn't just MAGA Republicans. These are Republicans in general, for the most part, and I'm generalizing here. Republicans vote against almost any government program that can help the poor or people that are struggling living to paycheck. And that's what, just to give you an idea, and I think you know this, what a bunch of liars many of these people are who voted for this bill. They say, get off your ass and work, get off your couch. 3 out of 10 people working in this country are not offered medical benefits, and half of them can't afford it. So when they say get off your ass and work, they've said the same thing about welfare. They've said the same thing about unemployment benefits. They've said the same thing about, food benefits. They're against maternity leave. Republicans are basically against almost every government program that can help the needy, and they are for the biggest tax breaks for the top 1%. These are despicable human beings. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand that.
Yeah, and the second thing is, if we're going to have a king, I don't want Orange Richie bitch. I'd rather have Chuck from across the pond.
Agree. I've been Ken, I've been making that argument forever. I want someone that knows what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want someone that has had a silver spoon in their mouth or someone that was given a $500 million company from their Ku Klux Klan father, Fred Trump. I want somebody that knows what it's like to struggle. And guess what? AOC is one of those people. Jasmine Crockett is one of those people. There are plenty of Democrats in office that at one point or another were struggling, that were on benefits. And it's interesting because there are some Republicans that at one point in their life were on benefits as well. Do you remember a guy by the name of Joe the Plumber? He passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Ken, do you remember that guy, Joe the Plumber? So I met him once.
Yeah.
So Joe the Plumber made national news because he was complaining about the handouts, right? And he made he got into it with Barack Obama. Well, then we learned a little while later that Joe the Plumber at one point in his life was on benefits, was on welfare, was on food stamps. And then he was the same person who became famous for being against it, what Barack Obama was trying to do. These people are some of the biggest hypocrites in the world, and many of the people that are against these types of government benefits have been on it. I'll give you another example. The people that are against what Joe Biden was doing with student loan debt forgiveness are some of the same people that took these PPE loans with their small businesses and didn't have to pay back the loans. They're hypocrites.
They're memes.
Yeah.
It's for me. If it don't affect me, I don't care. If it's for me, it's all for me. Me.
It's the story of the Republican Party, and it's getting worse and worse by the day, my friend. Ken, I appreciate your phone call. Good to hear from you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You too, Ken. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Peter. Peter is next up on PTL. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Brian. Congratulations on the partnership with Really American. It's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Real quick, I just wanted to echo a point that Mark made yesterday, Mark Epstein, that I don't think I've heard be articulated ever really. When he said, you look outside and there's water on the grounds, water on your cars, water on the windows. You don't need evidence that it rained last night. Mm-hmm. You can safely say that it rained, right? How many aspects of Trump and Trump's life or actions can we apply that logic to, if you think about it?
That's very true. I completely agree with you on that. So let's just give a quick rundown of what Trump's relationship was with Epstein. As I've talked about before, Epstein said at one point he was his best friend. He was on the flight log. But let's take a look at even stuff that's a little bit away from that. This was the guy who bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms on the Howard Stern show when he ran beauty pageants without their permission. This is the guy who's talked about his own daughter's body. If it wasn't my daughter, I would probably date her. Okay, if that's not weird enough in itself. This is the guy who has 25-plus women that have accused him of sexual abuse and or rape, including his ex-wife in court documents, okay? This is the same guy who was found liable for sexual abuse in a courtroom. So, and I said this on the Piers Morgan show last week, is it far-fetched to think that he's hiding this stuff and he's hiding it because maybe he's all over the Epstein files? I think it's very plausible, and I would say the odds are very good that he spent a lot of time on Epstein Island.
Exactly, but Maggers, I know, where's the proof? Show me the video, show me this, show me that. There's plenty that you can put together piece to piece. It's crazy how, like you say, they twist themselves into pretzels just to defend this guy. So it's crazy. Thank you for everything, Brian.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Mathan. Mathan is next up on PTL. Hi, Mathan.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Good. What's on your mind today?
I just wanted to talk about ICE. They were in town this morning, and I'm still feeling a little bit scared because I'm not white. And some lady was with a loudspeaker was going up and down all the blocks saying ICE is in town. And later on, the cops stopped her and gave her a ticket for whatever reason. But it's really scary. They were in town here a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, I thought they were in my backyard, but they were like a block from me. And they have rifles and everything. It's really scary. I'm still feeling a little bit fluttery, I tell you.
Well, that's got to be very daunting and scary for really anybody, even if you're somebody that's not, worried about being deported. You're an American citizen. That's not a country that I want to be in. You think I want to wake up in the morning and see a bunch of ICE agents taking over a ballpark? And by the way, there's a guy that might be joining us on Thursday. I'm trying to get him on the show. He is a baseball coach in New York City. And I spoke with him yesterday. He's going to try to get on the show Thursday. Apparently, he runs a youth baseball team, and ICE agents tried to get onto the field and question some of the players, and he stopped them because he's a hero. I believe Yosef is his name, and he's going to be joining us on the show, I believe, Thursday. It's scary what's going on in this country, and on a lot of different fronts, right? But at the same time, there's so many good people. Yes, are there some bad apples out there? Absolutely. But there are a lot of good people in this country that might not have the proper paperwork, and they might be undocumented, but they're good people. They want a better life for themselves and their families, and there has to be some sort of pathway to citizenship. There has to be.
Yeah, there really does. And I keep telling people, my father was not a citizen when I was born. He did finally get his citizenship papers, but it's scary because we have this birthright citizenship thing going on too. And I'm thinking, are they going to say all of a sudden that I'm not a citizen?
Yeah.
It's scary. It's really scary. I feel so sorry for people. And my poor neighbor has Parkinson's, and he was out in his yard, and I just went over and talked to him and said, I'm here if you need me. And he just says, thank you very much. And I feel really bad for everybody in this town.
Well, that's really nice of you, and you sound like a woman of compassion. And the problem we have is that all those people in our administration today do not have compassion. They don't have a moral compass, and even worse, they seem to gloat and enjoy people suffering, whether it be owning the libs or because you're a brown person in this country, legal or not. They want you to suffer. And they'll lie to you, and they'll say, well, we don't have a problem with anybody coming into this country so long as you go through the process. Then why is it that Republicans continue to vote against bills that would make it easier to give people a pathway to citizenship? It's a joke. Number to call again if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. I do want to also talk to some of you about the consumer price index rising inflation to 2.7%. The monthly increase was 0.3%. And I will also tell you that the monthly increase is the highest it's been in 5 months. Core inflation rose to 2.9% year over year. Yet Donald Trump wants to lie to the American people and say that inflation is down and everything is headed in the right direction, where if you talk to most people that are not political, they will tell you we are headed towards a recession. We have gotten into an ill-advised war. The war in the Ukraine is worse off now than it was on day one. What the hell has Donald Trump done that is helping the country? I'd love to hear some of you MAGA buffoons out there. What has Donald Trump done that is actually helping the country? The number to call is 702-221-7283. Let's go to Rhonda. Rhonda's next up on PTL. Hello, Rhonda.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Listen, I just called to encourage you and thank you. I just came across your show, and it's not a day I missed. And I'm thinking about once I get settled. Yeah, once I get settled, I'm gonna be a great supporter of finances. So I just wanted to tell you, keep fighting. Don't give up on us. I'm sick of this crap, but we got to still stay strong, Brian. Keep doing what you're doing. That's all I called for.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda. That's very sweet of you to say, and I appreciate your comments. And as long as that there are people like you out there that are supporting what I do, it means the world to me, and I'm going to continue to fight for all of you. And you'll always have a voice on this show. I know some people will say, Brian, you're the voice for us. Well, guess what? You guys are the voice, too. It's why I open up the phone lines every single day so good people like you, Rhonda, can call in and voice your opinions and your frustrations and your thoughts. I'll always give you guys the forum to do that on this show. Unlike a lot of other shows out there that are a right-wing echo chamber, I'm telling you, I can't listen to some of these other shows. It's so bad. But I appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. So we have a guy named Keith who's calling in now. He was at the Turning Point rally in Tampa over the weekend. I believe our friend Robbie Roadsteamer was out there too. I saw some of his videos, which are hilarious. Hey, Keith, what's going on?
Yeah, hey, Brian. Yeah, I watch you every day, man. I love your show.
Thank you.
I mean, I actually went over to Tampa. I'm in St. Pete. I actually went over to Tampa to try to run into Robbie Roadsteamer, and I didn't run into him, but I did run into one of your buddies, Brandon Tatum.
Oh, no. I got to get that guy back on the show. Oh, geez. Did you say anything to him?
I got close enough to holler at him a couple of times, but I asked him if he's on the Epstein list or something like that. I mean, I saw a lot of people there. I mean, Charlie Kirk was there, Candace Owens was there,
Of course, the normal.
Megyn Kelly was there.
The normal.
Tucker Carlson was there.
The normal group of idiots. Yeah, normal group of.
The normal MAGA morons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all there, and I tried to get close to some people, but you really couldn't do it. It was at the Tampa Convention Center, and they had it kind of restricted.
Yeah.
And as far as the access, and like I couldn't even take my phone in with me.
They wouldn't let you bring a phone in. Really?
Yeah, they wouldn't let me bring my phone in with me.
That's
because
really
they didn't
weird.
want me to take pictures.
That's really bizarre. That's strange.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy event, but you know the one thing that troubles me about this is that these MAGA personalities, the female personalities like Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Laura Ingraham, I saw them all, but they're all scrawny.
They're all two-faced. They're all liars.
I mean, is this like they're all scrawny? They look like they need to eat.
They're all slime balls. I mean, let's go through the list here. Candace Owens is an opportunist Democrat who and by the way, Brandon Tatum is the male version of Candace Owens. I said that to him when he did this show. They're just bad people.
Yeah, I tried to say that to him over in Tampa too the other day. I was there on Saturday.
They're just bad people. I will say this: Robbie Roadsteamer will be doing this show again soon. Take a look at some of his videos from out there. They're hilarious. He's a legend, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. We're going to try to get Brandon Tatum back on the show. I think most people that watched would say that I destroyed him with facts, and he's an imbecile. But he was trying to call Hillary Clinton an election denier, bragged about how he was a millionaire, just another complete imbecile, and he's no better than any of those other names that you just mentioned. Charlie Kirk is a white supremacist sympathizer who for years was talking about releasing the Epstein files, and now all of a sudden not talking about the Epstein files. We're not going to talk about it anymore. I trust the government. They are so two-faced, and they are so funny, and they are such bad human beings. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Richard. Richard is next up on PTL. What's up, Richard?
How you doing? How you doing?
What's up, Richard?
I'm sorry, but I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat my whole life, my entire life. And I do not like Republicans. I remember Donald Trump back in the 70s. 1970.
Democrat.
I'm a Democrat.
He was a Democrat too back then.
Okay, but I was back then. I remember Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I'm a veteran and I had a stroke. I don't communicate too well.
That's okay. Take your time. You're fine.
See, I had my statement ready for you.
That's okay.
Okay, I remember Donald Trump back in the 70s when he refused, him and his father Fred, they refused to rent to black people.
Yep.
That's when I knew he was scumbag. That's when I knew he was scumbag. And I can't believe how sorry America has gotten to get this, I apologize, I'm losing my comfort, to get this pathetic con to rule us. I can't believe it.
Well,
I know.
You're right. To what you were just referring to, my friend, Donald Trump was sued thousands of civil discrimination lawsuits he lost because he and his Ku Klux Klan father, Fred, did not want black people living in their properties.
Hey.
They lost a bunch of civil lawsuits. They are despicable human beings. Fred Trump, again, he the former guy, Ku Klux Klanner, who was arrested at a Klan rally.
He was a Klan leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They're horrible
Can I
people.
speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I can't believe that the country that I served my country for gonna elect a loser like this. I just can't believe it. He respects nobody. He cares about nobody. Yeah, I've been watching a lot about so-called Cubans for Trump. He fucked them over. I'm sorry, I cussed.
That's okay. Yep, watch language. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, the ugliness is just spewing. I don't understand America. I don't understand who calls you next and defended this turkey.
Yeah.
I had a racist friend that loved Trump. Yeah. I rest my. Let me go because I'm not. I had a stroke and I'm not too bad. But I'm a veteran for this country. I was getting ready to give my life for this country, and you elect some loser to hate black people.
I hear you, my friend. I'm on your side, and I appreciate your phone call and your service. And it's despicable. where this country is at right now. And what's even more mesmerizing to me is not how stupid so many people are, but how hateful so many people are in this country and that they still support Donald Trump. That's what is so mind-boggling and mesmerizing to me. Number to call is 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Everett. Everett is next up on PTL. Hi, Everett.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Good. What's on your mind?
Program. You know how long it took me to find? I mean, I'm a truck driver. I'll be all over the nation, everywhere, from Seattle to L.A. I grew up. I'm from Compton. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be everywhere listening to radio, and all I hear is the Rush Limbaughs and all these cats, man. And all
it's terrible, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, man. I just want to thank you for your truth spitting, man. That's it.
Well, thank you. It's really thank you for that. It's really sad, as I call it, right-wing echo chamber radio, where if you listen to political talk radio across the country, at least on the radio, it's all a bunch of right-wing turds, and all they do is spew their right-wing rhetoric every single day, and it's sickening and it's disgusting. Yeah.
You get hypnotized. So they hypnotize people that ain't conscious, that only watch Fox. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man, knock it off.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, this is what they've capitalized on, as you said, Rush Limbaugh type radio, and they rarely ever interview people that disagree with them. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I usually interview more people that disagree with me than agree with me.
Come on.
And that's what they do. That's what they do.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hypnotize and they just keep pumping the same old crap, man, and people start believing it, man. They start believing it. Like I can't believe that somebody would call Obama a devil and not Trump. This man, Obama's married to the same woman from the first time he got married. How many women Trump had?
Listen, it was Donald Trump who started the whole birther story with Barack Obama, saying that Barack Obama wasn't born in this country, never apologized for it. These MAGA Republicans will say, make America great again, but what they really mean is make America white again. That's what it means.
Yeah, we know what it means. Take it back to the 50s when only the rich white men had control.
You know what I'd ask them, my friend? When was America great? When women couldn't vote? When was America great? When black people were owned? When was America great? What are we going back to? I feel like we've gone back, a couple steps when it comes to race relations, when it comes to the attacks on the gay community, when it comes to the attacks on the trans community. That's what these MAGA Republicans are. They'll talk about drag queens until the cows come home, and that's such a big threat to our children. But what they don't want to talk about is gun control. What they don't want to talk about is health care. What they want to do is take your Medicaid away. What they want to do is take your Social Security away. What they want to do is take your food benefits away. But, those drag queens, they're really hard. I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke.
And half of them in the closet with them anyway.
You know what? I will admit that a lot of the people that are the most anti-gay people that I've spoke to are usually people that are in the closet themselves, sadly. So I don't disagree with what you just said on that.
And I ain't picking on nobody. I'm not sexually nothing. You know what I'm saying? I like women, but I don't care what other people do in their bedroom, man. That's their business.
Exactly.
I ain't in there.
But that's the problem. But that's the problem with these evangelical Christians. So many of them want to tell you what to do. And I tell you, live your life, do what you want to do. If you don't want to be
gay.
But
they vote for Trump?
Right.
But they vote for Trump?
Yeah.
And they're really, really, really religious, and they vote for Trump? Come
of course
on, man,
not.
knock it off.
That's what a lot of these very religious people do. They're bigots, and they hide behind their religion. Example, they're against the gay community. They'll say gay is a sin, and then they'll say, well, that's what my religion tells me. They'll say the same thing about the trans community, and they'll hide behind their racism and blame their religion for it. But guess what? They can't hide. We know they're very bad people. We know they're hateful people. They're judgmental people. And they hate what they see in the mirror, and they want to take it out on migrants. They want to take it out on brown people. But guess what? It's not working anymore, okay? The only people that they should be blaming are themselves for their hatred and their bigotry.
Man, I hope I hit the lotto so I can make 10 more radio stations like this. All I do is drive around and listen to their craziness, and I'll be like, how can people listen to this? And I hear you. And I pat you on the back, bro. I got your back like a recliner chair.
Well, I appreciate you, my friend. And where you live, by the way? Where are you from?
Oh, like I said, I'm from Compton. Lived in Seattle for 20 years, but I just moved to Las Vegas, so I'm in Vegas now.
All right. Well, it's good to hear a local call in, my friend. You stay safe there on the roads, my friend, and it's really good to hear from you, and I'm so glad you found the show. Please call back anytime. It's great to hear from you, and I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Now, it wouldn't be a MAGA show. Where am I going to next? Oh, okay. We're going to another caller next, my producer says. Hang on the line, Darlene. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next on PTL. What's up, Dave?
Hey, man. I need to make this as quick as I can because I'm calling you long distance internationally.
Oh, okay.
But I heard you talking to the guy earlier, the one you're just merging with, and something I haven't heard anybody bring up. I know it's going to be a touchy topic, so I'm volunteering to bring it up. I live in Israel, okay? I'm an American citizen, but I live in Israel.
Yeah.
And I can tell you for a fact that the evangelical community is like, yes, they're on Israel's side and everything, but it's only because they're expecting Armageddon next month. And, you know, they're not on anybody's side but their own, and they are literally, you know, ready to go. They're packed. They're ready. They're actually celebrating the deaths of those girls in Texas because they're in a better place. They're there first.
Yeah. Can I ask you?
They're almost jealous.
Can I ask you, my friend, you being in Israel, and I don't know how much time you spend there, but what are your thoughts?
I live here. I've been here for years.
What do you make of Benjamin Netanyahu?
Okay, understanding that I'm under the Golden Dome, so it's kind of a hand that feeds you thing. I think he has become everything that we've been taught that he's supposed to hate. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Do you agree with me that do you agree with me that you can criticize the Israeli government and that doesn't mean you're anti-Semitic? Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. So we're on the same page there. So here's my opinion. I believe Benjamin Netanyahu continues to coddle Donald Trump to get what he wants. And I believe Donald Trump has given into it. Because of that, America is in an ill-advised war with Iran. We've given Israel over $450 billion. And in return, Benjamin Netanyahu wants to give Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. Maybe Benjamin Netanyahu has good intentions, maybe not. But I don't think he's done a good job for Israel. I don't think he's protected people like you and the people of Israel enough. Maybe he has good intentions, and I do not defend the Iranian government or Iran and the leadership there in general because they harbor terrorists. But with that being said, I am disgruntled and disappointed and use any word in the book to describe Benjamin Netanyahu because I think he's lied to Donald Trump and he's given Donald Trump faulty intelligence so that we would get involved in another war. That's what I think.
Well, everything that people have been saying about Trump and, you know, running for the second term in the hopes to stay out of jail, that's been almost exactly the narrative for Netanyahu for like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, yeah. And how many years have we been? Yeah, go ahead.
I was here when the whole clusterfuck happened with the concert and the guys from Hamas and all that shit. My attitude at the time was, oh damn. It's like the mouse coming out with a cactus needle and poking the lion in the nose and not expecting to get swatted.
No, I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Listen, I wish you prosperity out there, and I hope you're safe. I appreciate you calling from Israel. We both share the same grievances when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu, and we appreciate your call. Just a reminder to people, please watch your language when you call into the show. We're also on the radio. It's not just social media, so please no F-bombs, Watch the language. We ask respectfully, and we appreciate. You can call Donald Trump the orange orangutan. That's perfectly allowed here, but no F word. That's all. Watch the language. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to the MAGA destroyer. Let's go to Darlene. Darlene is next up on PTL. Hey, Darlene, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Brian, I'm going to try to do this without crying because I saw something very disturbing this morning, and I want everybody to listen. Put your politics aside for a minute. I want y'all to listen as a human being. I know there's a lot of animal lovers out there. How would y'all feel if you were innocent and you were just walking down the street with your dog, and all of a sudden they come over there and rip you from your dog? Do you know where your dog goes? It's all these dogs and animals are in an animal shelter. I woke up this morning and I saw Midas Touch video. The first thing I have to see is all these animals